A man wore a necklace of human fingers, not as a symbol, as a count, each one taken, each one a life ended by his hand. And yet, this same man would one day sit at the feet of the Buddha, weeping with remorse and be called a saint. How does a soul travel that far? Buddhism holds one truth above almost all others. The mind is not fixed. It is not a stone carved at birth. It is more like a river, always moving, always capable of changing course. The Buddha taught that every being carries within them the seed of awakening. Not just the gentle ones, not just the pure ones. Every being. This is not a comforting platitude. It is a radical claim. It says that the capacity for transformation is not earned by your past. It is available in this breath, this moment, this turning. The story of Angulimala is perhaps the most extreme test of that teaching, and it holds. His name was Angulimala. He had not always been a killer. Once he was a student, bright, devoted, eager to learn. But through a series of betrayals and a teacher's cruel misdirection, he was set on a path of violence. He was told, falsely, that he must take 1,000 lives to achieve spiritual power. He believed it, and he began. Villages emptied when word spread that he was near. Mothers pulled children inside. Soldiers refused to enter the forest where he hunted. He had taken 999 lives. He needed one more. Then the Buddha walked into that forest, alone. Angulimala chased him. He ran with everything he had, and could not close the distance. The Buddha walked calmly, and somehow, impossibly, Angulimala could not reach him. Exhausted, he cried out, "Stop!" The Buddha turned and said quietly, "I have stopped. It is you who have not stopped." And in that silence, something cracked open. Those 4 words reached a place in Angulimala that 999 acts of violence had buried. He fell to the ground. He wept. He asked to be taught. And the Buddha accepted him. The first thing this story teaches is that shame, left alone, destroys. But shame, met with compassion, becomes the beginning of change. Angulimala carried the weight of what he had done. He never forgot it. Later, as a monk, he was still pelted with stones by villagers who remembered. He accepted it without retaliation, not because he was weak, but because he understood that he was living with the consequences of his past, and that was right. He did not use his transformation as an excuse to escape accountability. He held both truths. I have changed, and what I did was real. Most of us are not carrying anything close to that weight, but many of us carry something, a version of ourselves we are ashamed of, a chapter we wish we could tear out, and we quietly believe that chapter defines us forever. The second teaching is this: the Buddha did not wait for Angulimala to become worthy before walking toward him. He walked toward him as he was. That is what genuine compassion looks like. Not approval of harm, but the refusal to write off a soul. There is someone in your life, perhaps even yourself, you have decided is too far gone. This story asks you to look again. Here is the practice. Tonight, or in a quiet moment today, bring to mind one version of yourself you are still punishing. not to excuse what happened, not to pretend it didn't matter, but to ask honestly, am I still that person? Or have I, even slightly, turned? The Buddha's question to Angulimala was not, what have you done? It was, in essence, are you still running? Ask yourself that. Sit with it. If the honest answer is that you have stopped, even partially, let that be real. Let it count. You do not need to perform suffering indefinitely to prove you take your past seriously. At some point, continued self-punishment is not wisdom. It is just another form of being stuck. The turning is the thing. Notice it, honor it. Then keep walking. Angulimala lived out his days as a monk. He is remembered not for the 999, but for the turning. Not because the harm he caused was erased. It wasn't, but because the human capacity for change is so extraordinary that even his story could not contain it. A river that has run through dark places does not carry that darkness forever. It moves. It clears. It finds the sea. You are not the worst thing you have done, and neither is anyone you have given up on. The path is still open. Subscribe to LifeVeda for daily wisdom that transforms your life.